Hey everyone, welcome back to the District 3 podcast, episode 265, I think it's 265. This is Edwin.
And Migs.
And Elena's not here with us today, so we're doing this only bro co-host episode today. Migs just came fresh from directing the Creed concert at the Walmart Amp. How was that experience for you, Migs?
That was actually a pretty good experience. I know that growing up, like a few weeks ago, I said something about like I made the 13-year-old proud of me by directing a Marilyn Manson concert, you know? And then yesterday I was thinking like the 15-year-old me would have kicked my ass if I was bragging on directing a Creed concert because Creed was not
what they're kind of one like Nickelback kind of thing.
Yeah. They were not the hotness, at least for my group of friends growing up. Yeah,
Creed had some good songs, man.
No, it was packed, bro.
Like white people love Creed.
Yeah, man. They do. Like
it's a big. You
should have seen that lawn when everybody left, just full of cans.
Yeah. But I like the Higher, and they're the ones that sing that, right? The Will You Take Me Higher.
They do. Yeah,
and they also sing the other iconic song, Sacrifice. My Sacrifice.
Oh yeah,
they have some good music, man. And I hate
should have been dead on the Sunday morning, banging my head. I kind of like that one.
I hate when bands get like such a bad reputation for no reason. Like Nickelback gets a bunch of hate for no reason. They got a bunch of good songs. They got Photograph. They got what's that other one? How You Remind Me of What I Really Am.
Is that Nickelback?
That's Nickelback, bro. They get so much hate.
Maybe I started liking that song when I was
for no reason. Older. So shout out to all the Nickelback and Creed fans. It's good music. I definitely enjoy it.
I mean, there's a reason why they sold records and stuff like that. I guess it's because everybody in Arkansas apparently likes these guys.
But I'm glad people enjoy the concert. There's a lot of good concerts happening here in Northwest Arkansas in the next few weeks. I think this month, like El Alfa's coming, Juanes is coming.
Oh yeah.
For those that are Mexican OT fans, he's coming too.
I don't know who that is, but I definitely want to see El Alfa.
El Alfa has some.
I want to get down on a dance floor, homie.
Like la mamá de la mamá de la mamá de la mamá. We're singing a lot on this episode. We usually don't sing a lot, but there's a lot of good concerts coming. So I'm excited for the folks that are getting these cool opportunities to go see Creed, to go see Nickelback was here a while back too, right? And I don't know why I didn't go to that.
I don't remember. I probably did. Yeah.
I'm a fake fan. But I'm excited about today's episode because we're talking about a very important subject that I need to get educated on. And I know probably a lot of people that are listening need to get educated on, and that is PCOS. Joining us today is a friend of the podcast. Her name is Yanira Albarran. She is Latina, PCOS Cyster. Yanira, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having
me. Welcome
to
the District 2 podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. And I'm just excited about you educating us because I was scrolling through TikTok, I think like about 2 weeks ago or so, and you popped up on my feed. And obviously, I already know you. We've talked through social media before. You came to our Latino Professionals event that we organized a few months back. And I thought it was important for us to sit down and have this conversation just because we know that there's people out there with PCOS that maybe don't hear a local conversation like this. And it's important, especially like brown people having this conversation is also like another layer of importance in the work that we're doing. So I'm glad you're here.
I mean, I'm here and ready to learn because I am one of those brown people who is uneducated on this matter.
Well, hey, look, as long as we point out the fact that maybe we don't know enough about it. I was looking up what PCOS is. I know the name is polycystic ovary syndrome, and I'm going to read the definition here. Yanira, you can tell me if this description on Google is a description that's worth using just in general or what, and then we can kind of talk more about like your journey and what it looks like for you. What's on Google, it says a hormonal disorder causing enlarged ovaries with small cysts on the outer edges. The cause of polycystic ovary syndrome isn't well understood, but may involve a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Symptoms include menstrual irregularity, excess hair, acne, and obesity. Treatments include birth control pills to regularize periods, a medication called metformin to prevent diabetes, statins to control high cholesterol, hormones to increase fertility, and procedures to remove excess hair. When it comes to like PCOS, is it one of those things where like that kind of description doesn't fit everybody's situations?
Yeah, it's hard to explain it because it says the definition said that it's ovary cysts, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you can have all these symptoms but not have the cysts in your ovaries.
Okay.
So that was my case. The cysts weren't very prevalent to say I have PCOS, but I had a lot of symptoms that pointed to the diagnosis whenever I went to the doctor. So, yeah, it's a fluid definition. That's how I like to say it. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to point that out because I think there's probably a lot of people like me who, when they hear PCOS, we automatically do think cysts in the ovaries. And I think people sometimes will be like, oh, if someone has PCOS, you can't have kids.
Yep.
And that might not be true for everyone.
No.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. So on that topic, whenever I first got diagnosed, I was scared. Immediately, I thought of not having kids. I thought about diabetes a lot. I heard that a lot of people that have PCOS get diabetes after a while, which is true. I think it was like 40% of people that have PCOS, so you're a 40% chance higher than someone that doesn't have PCOS to get type 2 diabetes because most of us have an insulin issue, which is a symptom. Some say it's a symptom. I believe it's actually probably the cause of PCOS. So it's such a, like I said, it's a fluid definition.
Because even, when I looked up like what causes PCOS, there really isn't like a go-to answer for that.
There's not.
Like in the most go-to answer that I've seen is that it could be hereditary. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if that's true or not.
I don't know if that's true or not. I couldn't tell you. By the way, I'm not a doctor, so just getting out there before we start because I don't want people coming at me.
But you're talking from your experience.
Yes, yes, I am talking from my own PCOS journey and experience for sure.
So I guess we can start with talking about like what were some of the symptoms that you noticed for you specifically.
Yeah, I'll start from when I think my symptoms started to when I got diagnosed and to where I stand now. When I was in college, I lost my period completely. I think I was about 19, 20 years old. And I had gone to community college for 2 years. This was about the time that I transferred over to U of A. So the last 2 years, junior and senior year, I lost my period completely. And I was very mature. I was like, woohoo, no periods. I don't have to worry about it.
Did you worry you were pregnant when did it happen at first?
No, I knew, like, I took tests and stuff, and I knew, I'm like, there's no way. Like, there's no way. And so my period had been, like, a little irregular, and then it kind of just disappeared completely. So that's how I knew. I'm like, there's something wrong with me, but, like, who cares, right? Like, I thought about maybe it's stress because I moved from a 2-year community college to a 4-year institution where it was a lot bigger. And so I'm like, maybe it was just stress from being in a class that's a different environment than what I was used to. And so I was like, I think it's just stress. And then my eating went downhill. When I came to U of A, I started eating more fast food. And I just knew. I'm like, okay, that's probably why my period left. But little did I know that was just the start of my symptoms. I probably had it since like maybe even high school because I always had anxiety. And that's part of the symptoms, having anxiety, chronic fatigue, ADHD-like symptoms, depression, a lot, like inflammation in the body too. A lot of these things just really just came at me. And so that was college years. And then fast forward, I moved out, I think I was like 23. Yeah, I was 23. I got married at 24. So I got a new house, got married all at once. COVID was happening.
So you
went
my
your
anxiety.
Whole
college years like being like, oh, period free.
For 2 years, yeah, the last 2 years.
But not doing anything.
No.
Oh, wow.
And I guess this would be for you personally, but you said like you getting inflammation or swollen, like with your arm were just like...
No, it was just my whole body.
Your whole body.
I started gaining weight.
Oh, okay.
At a rapid speed too. By the time I was 24, I was already at 200 pounds, 5 foot. So I knew something was going on. And
did you try to ignore it? or were you just not thinking about it like that? That way, you were just kind of.
I didn't know what it was, so I didn't know. I kept blaming myself. I kept saying, "Oh, it's what I'm eating," or "Oh, it's because I'm not as active." Yeah. When in reality, like the eating part, I was doing like a keto diet, and so because my dad's diabetic, so I thought that was the right diet for me, and it wasn't. It turned out that it wasn't. So fast forward, I got a house, I got married, and my symptoms just start getting worse. I had lost a family member due to COVID, and so everything just started spiraling. My mental health was getting worse. Anxieties was through the roof, and it wasn't until one time I actually became suicidal. I had suicidal thoughts, and I know it's getting so dark so quick, but it wasn't until like my husband spoke to me and was like, "You need to go get help. Like, I don't think you're okay mentally." And so that's when I went to not a doctor, because I still, again, I didn't know it was PCOS. I went to a therapist. Did you fight it one at first?
Like, F you, I'm fine.
No, I knew that whenever like your husband's telling you, I knew that was, okay, a red flag. Something's really wrong with me. And again, I didn't know what was happening to me. All I knew was I was gaining weight and I was having mental health issues, but I didn't know that everything flowed together. I didn't know. Until then, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should do something about these periods that are still not coming. I'm 23, 24 years old, and the periods are still not here.
So there was no period at all during that whole time?
Yep.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So you lived a good few years, right?
I would say it was good. Okay. I would say they were really miserable.
I say this because
I had like one good year.
I have conversations. I say because I have conversations with my wife all the time, and she'll be like, why do women have to have periods every month? Yes. And then she explains, how it is with like ovulation and all of that, and how everything they have to go through on a monthly basis.
Yes.
So when you said that, I was kind of thinking like, was it then like kind of maybe not as stressful but I guess you were being affected in other ways, right?
Yes, I was. And to your point though, I was happy that I didn't have a period when I was in college, but then whenever it was time to, okay, I need to get married, start thinking about maybe planning kids in the future. How can I do that if I'm not ovulating, if I'm not having a period? So that's where it got a little tricky, and I'm like, maybe I should go to a gynecologist too while I'm at it. And so then I went to the gynecologist. They told me, oh, hey, your insulin levels are high. They did blood work. And I was like, well, I just had like 4 tacos. Literally had 4 tacos before going in there. And so I'm like, let's take it again. And so we took it again. Again, insulin was high. And so they were like, okay, we think you have PCOS. You probably need to go to your primary doctor to get referred to a specialist. And I did. I went to my primary doctor. The first thing he said, it was a guy. He's like, I think you just need to lay off the tortillas. And I'm like, little do you know, I'm exercising. I'm eating better because I was on a keto diet at the time. Remember, I'm out of college, so I'm eating better now, and that was kind of insulting. I was like,
is that just a blanket policy you have for all Hispanics who walk in? Like, I know what it is. It's tortillas.
That's how I felt. Like, I'm like, no, it's not. Like, I watch what I eat. And so then I went to I never went back to the doctor, by the way. Then I went to an endocrinologist. I cannot speak. Endocrinologist. And this time it was a girl. And back to your definition, you said that typically doctors give them metformin and birth control. Well, I was given those two. And I was like, oh, I'm getting birth control. Interesting. I'm not ovulating, but you're giving me birth control. You're giving me hormones genetically into my body. But I'm like, okay, whatever. This will help. Because at the time, she's like, well, I think your hormones are irregulated. So let's fix that with that. And then they gave me metformin, which is a diabetic medication.
Yeah.
But
my mom takes metformin.
Who?
My mom.
Yeah, so does my dad. Yeah. And he's
Uh-huh.
diabetic. So I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, so I started taking it. I was on that for like about a year. And the side effects were interesting. I could not get myself out of the bathroom. My mental health was not getting any better. My insulin levels on like my blood work was not getting much better either. So I'm like, okay, like I have to get an answer. This cannot just be covered up by these 2 medications. So I went back to her and she tells me, oh, you know what? Let's get you to lose some weight with a shot called Wegovy, which is like Ozempic. And your insurance is not going to cover it because you're not diabetic. So you're going to pay $1,400 a month.
Wow.
Where was I going to get $1,400 a month?
Yeah.
Man,
Medicine.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's more than an Escalade.
It's a mortgage payment.
It is a
It's
mortgage payment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went back and forth with my insurance about 7 times. I went back and forth, back and forth. I don't know if you guys have seen the South Park Ozempic episode.
Not yet.
Oh, you
Yeah,
guys need to
I
watch
have.
it. Oh, you have?
Yeah.
We'll check it out.
It's accurate.
Yeah.
I was literally going back and forth with my insurance company, and I was like, "Oh, please, like, get
yeah,
this
what's it called?
covered."
The medical system. What do they call that?
I can't remember. I'm really bad at remembering stuff.
Like the medical system game.
Yes!
Yeah, something like that.
It literally is that
Yeah,
way.
when you have to go and you have to get paperwork and you turn it in, they tell you, no, you need this from this doctor, then you go back and you get that
Yes.
information, and they tell you, oh, wait, hold on, but now you need this. Anyway, yeah.
Yes.
The whole process.
And I'm
It is a whole
guessing, and we
process.
talked about this before we started recording, I'm guessing it was another factor, being a Latina woman having to advocate for herself, because that already adds its own layer to receiving the medical treatment that you need.
Yes. Exactly.
Because I feel like, I think it goes from like black women to Latina women in regards to the people that are less listened to by doctors or who are taken less seriously.
I do believe that. Back to that first doctor that told me to stop eating tortillas. I'm like, are we just what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that.
I have my mom. I remember she went to a doctor and she's diabetic, and then pretty much, I guess the doctor just had a thing to say when it's that visit, that's your third visit or whatever. And anyway, she was being seen because of this diabetic thing, and then the doctor goes in there and reams her. You got to stop eating this shit. You got to start doing that. You got to stop doing this. And my mom's like, I am. So, like, my mom's the most responsible person ever. Like, everything's paid way in advance, Anyway, so the doctor is reaming her about her not doing her stuff. And then she gets her test back. Like, she's good. And then the doctor came and apologized. But it was just, he's just so used to that being the problem,
Wow.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's why you mentioned it, but it goes right in hand with like women of color not being like taken seriously.
yeah.
Their concerns
Yeah.
not taken seriously.
That is kind of why I mentioned it.
If an older white man went in there, their concerns will be taken seriously.
Yep.
And sometimes you kind of have to advocate. I know I'm preaching to the choir when I'm talking to you, Yanira, but like you have to advocate multiple times to be listened to.
Yes.
And my wife had a similar experience as well, so that's kind of why I know.
Yes. And a lot of people that have PCOS, I cannot think of the number on top of my head, but the majority of people of color that are women, there's a big number of those that have PCOS. So that's why I believe it might be like an insulin issue. I mean, I don't know what the root of the cause is, but
I personally know 4 in NWA Latina women that have PCOS.
yep, there you go.
So I can just imagine
There
how
you go.
big the population that's affected is.
Yes.
So you are, I guess at this point, you had spoken to the doctor. When do things start looking up for you in this process?
So TikTok came into play. This is when TikTok came in. I got on TikTok. I followed a couple people that have PCOS, and one of their success stories, or a tribute to their success stories, was the shot. And so that's when I knew. I was getting a little desperate too, because I'm like, I don't know where to get $1,400 for this shot. And I know that that's going to be a huge, like, the ticket out to seeing the light. And so it was really, it was a hard time. I remember thinking maybe if I go to Mexico,
They gotta have like an Ozempic or something like that. That's like cheaper, or like a
yes, I
a
did
cheaper
look into
doctor,
it.
or
I did.
that's why people go to the dentist in Mexico. They're like,
Yes.
it's cheaper over there.
Navigating the American health care system. I think that was the thing from South Park, what they were calling
Oh, yeah.
Sorry for interrupting
That
you.
makes
My bad,
sense.
my
No,
bad.
that makes sense. I mean, one of the things that in our past episodes when we interviewed Matthew Moore here from the station, him and his wife were going through very difficult infertility issues, and he was having to talk to the insurance company for hours just to get her insured.
Yeah.
for the treatments that they were needing.
And we pay so much for this insurance to not cover our basic medications.
Yeah.
And they make it
You know,
difficult just to
they
do the
do.
most easiest things
One
get
of the-
done.
Yes, one of the things that they told me was like, well, you're not diabetic yet. You're not pre-diabetic yet. I'm like, yet is the key word.
Yeah.
Yet is the key word.
You
Why?
can save me.
Yes, but they won't save you.
Yeah.
They won't. And they want you to come back and say, hey, I'm diabetic. You know, now I need more medication. I just don't understand that. Anyway, so I got on TikTok and I saw this lady talk about, oh, there's a compounded pharmacy that makes stuff technically like an off-brand version of Ozempic. It's the same thing,
really?
except they link it with a vitamin. So usually it's B12. And you just pay a fraction of the cost. So I'm like, oh, maybe I should look into that. And
Why do they pair it? I know B12 is like for energy, right?
yes, for energy. And
I guess it's a good thing for them to pair it, right? But why is it paired?
it's paired so they can legally sell it.
Oh, okay.
If it's not, then I think there's like probably lawsuits that would come in and say no. So anyway,
B12, isn't that like in those brain pills too or whatever?
It probably is. I mean, it's like for not to go a little bit like off the rails, but
Sorry.
when I used to work at Walmart, there was this one lady who was like a seasonal manager that would come in and sometimes be our manager for like a night, and she would like bully me. And I would get my job done, but she'd be like, Irvin, have you had your B12 yet today? And she would say that in front of everybody. And I'm like, bruh, like, I'm getting my work done. But it was because, like, she was joking with me that she wanted me to have more energy.
yeah, it does give you
Yeah.
more energy.
But sorry to interrupt. I just had to say that story because
No,
it
you're good.
brought me some past trauma. But
Yeah, I'm gonna start using that.
so then you went forward with that?
So the question was, how do I get access to that? And so I'm like, I need to find a doctor. Now they do telehealth, but at the time, that wasn't really an option. And so I found a doctor in Siloam, actually. She's not physically practicing anymore, but she has like a telehealth situation. It became more of a trend, so I think she went that route now. And so I went to her all the way in Siloam, like literally 45 minutes, an hour away from here, just to go see her. And she's a nurse practitioner, and she was more of a holistic nurse
I feel like I've heard of her.
practitioner.
From
And
someone else.
oh,
Yeah.
really? But anyway, she looks at everything more holistically, and then the last option would be to give you medication. And so as soon as I sat down, she's like, okay, what are you eating? And I told her what I was eating. And she's like, okay, you got to stop with the keto diet. That's what's making you swollen, and foods that are processed. Because when you're on keto, you can still eat processed food. Anything that has like keto on it, well, that's processed. So I cut all that out. Processed foods included more veggies, more fiber, healthy fats, healthy carbs. And that's what really helped me a lot. And then we looked at the compound. She was linked to compounded pharmacy. And so then she gave me that option to start on it. Yep.
I think it's the same lady because I had someone tell me a similar story, but she was going to her to get her glands drained because she had breast cancer.
Oh, okay.
And that lady is also in Silent Springs Holistic was helping her with that
wow.
process, and she was telling me all these good things about her and stuff.
Yeah.
So it could have been probably the same lady.
It probably was the same lady.
So then she changed your life.
She did. And the thing is, she didn't take insurance. So I'm like, oh, I have to pay a membership with her out of pocket. But the Ozempic was going to be cheaper. So I did the math. I'm like, I think it's just worth it to just go with her. Way cheaper.
And I know that there's like, I think Mark Cuban, the former owner of the Spurs, he is created like an online store to make like a lot of important medication like insulin and stuff way cheaper than what they sell it at stores. I don't know if they have that kind of medicine there, but there are people like him that are trying to give people more affordable access to medication because it's expensive.
It is.
Especially if you don't have insurance.
Or I think about like the people that don't have like legal status in the country. What, like, there's no option for them. Well, this would be one, but do people really have money to go pay a monthly membership to see doctors that are independent?
And then having the knowledge and the connections to find that option after they get,
Exactly.
One of the things that you talked about before we started recording is you talked about like the stresses of having PCOS and what it like does to your marriage. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, was it a food issue overall, or was it was it one of the situations where it was like because you were having issues mentally that was causing stress? If you feel open about talking about that.
Yeah, so that kind of goes with, I saw the doctor, right? She gave me the option of getting on the shot, but she's like, before we do that, let's take a hormone test. And she told me about a hormone test called Dutch test. I talk about this on my TikTok quite a bit. And this Dutch test measures how your hormones are doing. So I had to pee a lot, like literally like I think it was like 3 or 4 days. I had to pee like as soon as I got up, during the day, after I ate, at night before I go to bed. And so it was like a whole process. And then I send that into the labs and she comes back and she tells me, oh, you're low on this, you're low on that. You should take this vitamin, that vitamin. And with TikTok, I realized that a lot of people that have PCOS have high cortisol levels. And that was my case. Cortisol is a hormone, a stress hormone. And so because of that stress hormone, it was so irregulated, it was elevated. It caused me to have anxiety in the mornings. And I even thought I had ADHD, you guys. And I feel like I still kind of do, like a little bit of symptom, but that's normal. Being suicidal, being depressed, like all of that is a symptom of PCOS. So it wasn't until, like I said, my husband started telling me, hey, like, you're really going down there. I didn't want to get up from my bed. Nothing really made me happy. I was irritated all of the time. And so that shifted. But so since I started going to the holistic doctor, I started changing my habits. I started doing yoga, you guys. Wow. That changed my life.
I want to get into that eventually because it's probably really good for your body.
Yes, my husband did it with me.
Oh, really?
Yes. So that was kind of going back to your question about marriage. I have a great husband, and he told me, you know what, whatever diet you go on, I will be there with you along the way, and I'll do it with you because, you know, I might get diabetes one day too. I don't want that. And so I was like, all right. So we did the diet together, and I wouldn't even call it a diet at this point. I think it's more of a holistic lifestyle that I've just changed completely. My morning routine's different. My workouts are different. I had to wear a glucose monitor at all times to check when my sugars would elevate. And so he was like, okay, well, I'll just do everything with you because this is your journey, but also mine because I married you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Well, maybe that's why
what's
I'm
his
not
name?
married.
Frankie.
Shout out, Frankie. What are the biggest differences that you see from, you know, your lowest during when you had like the worst symptoms to now, to where you're at now? What are the biggest differences you see?
Oh, a lot. First of all, physically, I lost since I started the Ozempic a year ago to now. I have lost 52 pounds.
Hey, congratulations!
Yeah. And that it's so impossible when you have PCOS. It's so impossible. No matter how much you diet, how much you exercise, it's quite impossible. And so this was a huge win for me. I had low self-esteem issues, but now I get up in the mornings. I'm not anxious. I haven't had a panic attack in like a long time, probably like over a year.
Oh, wow.
So ADHD has gotten a lot better.
That's so crazy, the different things in our body that can cause distress and can cause anxiety.
Yeah.
There's like so many things. And I guess it's very difficult, you know, whenever you were trying to figure out, like, what do I have when symptoms, like, I feel like a lot of different illnesses have the same symptoms.
Yeah.
So, like, when you say, like, oh, this illness can cause anxiety, but this illness can cause anxiety, this illness can cause weight gain, and this, so you're just kind of like, what's going on with my body until you find the right doctor or the right person. In your case, you on TikTok, you found some saving grace.
It was everything. It was the doctor. It was like family members. Because like I have a lot of diabetics in my family. They were trying to help me out too. Like, look, you have an insulin issue. I do too. Let me try to help you out. TikTok was a huge factor. Like I noticed that the community on there, it's women trying to help women. And so that to me was so important for me to start recording my journey. That's whenever I started my
When did you start doing like advocating about PCOS on TikTok?
This must have been a little bit after I first got diagnosed. Maybe I was like 24, 25 when I started doing videos, but I didn't start picking up until recently, like a year ago.
Was there a video that you posted that kind of helped you take off a little bit?
No, I think I literally gradually got followers, but I think it wasn't until a year ago when I started talking about Ozempic. A lot of people were considering it. and they were trying to get on the bandwagon. And so I think that's what kind of drew attention. And then also, I'm Latina. I cook. I still eat Mexican food, so I just tweak it a little bit. So those videos do pretty well. But
like you put the foods that you eat, right? I think that I saw like 2 videos before you. I was joking with you because I was telling you that I was looking at your TikTok and then I saw you over there by the door and I'm like, oh shit, let me open the door real quick. But the video that I saw was about you talking about the food, and I think it was like some sort of Mexican kind of looking dish that you had put on there.
Yeah, and a lot of people are going to say, oh my gosh, Mexican food is so bad for you. No, it's not. Like, you got calabacitas, you got nopales, lentejas, frijoles, like all these really good foods that are good for you, anti-inflammatory foods. Like, you can't
That's why a lot of our relatives that are Mexicans, they live to like 90 or 80 years old when they're living in Mexico because they're like eating like non-processed food.
Yes.
I think the problem is your family. They just keep, you want some? Nah, no, come on.
Take
more.
Let's talk about that. I feel like a lot of Hispanics, there's one video that did blow up, and it was a controversial topic, very controversial topic, and it was about tortillas.
I mean, it's tortilla.
Do you lose them? Like, the question is, do you stop eating them completely? Do you eat 1 or 2? I'm like, look, listen, my dad used to eat like 12, 14 in one sitting.
I was going to ask you al dia, but sitting?
Yes, or I would go to Mexico and my cousins are over here eating like 12 tacos at once. Like,
Pero ¿por qué será que las tortillas nos gustan mucho? ¿Por qué será?
I don't know. Like, me by myself, like, I don't eat tortillas. I only eat tortillas sometimes in the morning, like for breakfast.
Pero yo los pongo en los tacos, pongo los burritos. Like, what is it?
Yeah. But usually only with my family is when they're actually just tortillas there to like use tortillas, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I always do like 3 is like a lot for me. Like, I must have been really hungry, but usually I do 2. But yeah, like, you're right. Sometimes I go to some places and they're one after another. I'm like, how am I bigger than you, fool?
Yes. No, it's true. I think and then like we have rice, a lot of rice too, and like I think a lot of people that have diabetes too, like they don't know how to eat maybe, or maybe it's just our costumbre too. Like, we're like,
well, we don't have anybody that teaches us how to eat.
No.
And that sounds dumb, but it's not dumb. It's like
No.
I remember like for the past, I would say 10 years of my life, I barely started taking care of like what I eat, like literally the last 3 or 4 months, like really, really good.
Yeah.
But the past 10 years, like I was just eating whatever made me happy. I wasn't overdoing it.
Yeah.
But I was eating what made me happy. And then I took a step back and I'm like, damn, like I could get diabetes runs in my family.
Yeah. And it's a privilege to be eating healthy.
It's expensive too.
It's expensive.
If you want to do it right.
And then I think back about my parents. I'm like, well, my parents worked in a chicken plant, a factory. So they have to have lots of carbs to be able to be physically moving. And so that's another thing that I'm like, I feel bad for our parents that it's not that they're uneducated. It's just that that's just the way it was for them, you know, and they had to have carbs.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. We had a past guest, Juan Baena and Susana, when they were talking about they were here talking about their new nonprofit called Dos Alas, and part of it's about educating the Latino community about like good food, and we just haven't had anybody to tell us, hey, maybe you shouldn't have that bread and coffee every morning.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And the effects. Like, I remember I started looking into things.
I know all about good food. Maybe I don't know about healthy food.
For real, though. Like, my mom started her day with coffee and, like, in pan. And my mom's diabetic. And I'm like, Mom, like,
I know.
Like, the first thing you should drink is water at the beginning of the day. You know,
That's true.
But even me sometimes, I don't do that every day. I don't drink water the first thing. Sometimes it's an energy drink in the morning. You know?
That would literally like take me out. I would be through the roof by like 10 o'clock.
That's what I do. There's some days where I did it yesterday. I drink an energy drink in the morning. But I really do want to not only educate my family, but I want the community to be educated on what are some foods maybe that we should kind of stay away from. But in your case, Yanira, can we talk a little bit more about like the folks that are listening? If there is any women out there with PCOS, like from your experiences, what are some of the advice that you give them, or maybe some of the tips that you give them on how to move forward to live a more happy life, to live a life where you feel more healthy?
I would say be patient with yourself. And it's a lifestyle change. It's not an overnight change that's going to happen. I think I figured that out gradually, how to do it. And so I think that's my advice that I would give to everyone, and have some grace. It's hard. And just to keep going. Don't give up. Don't give up, because it's you can get really dark. It can get really, really dark with PCOS, but there's hope out there.
Do you think there would ever be a time where like there would be some sort of like support group created?
Yeah, there are a couple actually.
Are they?
Yeah.
Is there any like Latina ones?
Yes. Well, there's a creator that is Latina. I think her name is Talia or something.
Is it local?
No, it's not.
See, that'd be a cool thing to do. You know?
Yeah,
Just to
that would be.
To have support.
Ooh, you're giving me some ideas here.
Yeah. Remember, I came up with the idea, y'all. So just kidding. No, but I just think that it'd be cool, you know, because especially if there's people that maybe haven't done the research that you did, or haven't been able to kind of, you know, create something positive out of the situation like you did, you know, people need help. Yeah. You know, so that'd probably be something cool.
I was gonna say the only time this is the first time that I considered like, maybe I should get a TikTok if there's like groups out there like.
Well, you're not on TikTok, Mix?
Nah, dude.
China, you need to get
bro.
on TikTok.
They got TikToks for everything.
Everything.
I follow like 5 calorie deficit TikToks.
Okay, so first of all, China.
Yeah.
China. And then
fine.
second of all,
It's fine.
but no, the real main reason is because I probably have a lot of stuff, you know.
Yeah, why does Trump pronounce China like that? Anyways,
Because it sounds cool.
I was talking about that. I was talking about that yesterday. I was like, why is he saying China? Why is he saying that?
my gosh.
Copyrighted. But no, the real reason is I think I spend enough time on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. And if I added TikTok, and if you guys say it's as amazing as it is, like.
Eliminate one of them.
When am I gonna work? Well, I don't really go on Facebook to begin with. Actually,
Yeah, you have to have a purpose, I think, to get on TikTok.
Yeah, this is my birthday. Then I'm taking that thing like every hour.
I don't have a purpose. I'm just there to waste my time.
Because like you could literally be scrolling for hours.
There's times where I get tired though, and I'm just like, this is nothing.
Yeah.
Like I've literally gone up like 50 times, and there's nothing.
Your
important.
algorithm's not picking up your For You page.
But my calorie deficit ones, like it's like a girl will pop up with like an amazing food in front of the camera, and she'll be like, try this cheat meal from McDonald's for only 500 calories. And it's like, all you gotta do is get a McDouble and 4 chicken nuggets and then a large Diet Coke, and it's only 500 calories. And I've done it before, and like I didn't feel bad after I ate it. And I track my calories now, so I have like an app where I'm tracking my calories during the calorie deficit. So the TikToks do help for me to like see ideas, but then also see other people that are going through a calorie deficit.
Yes, I also, for PCOS people out there, TikTok, yes, it's a great place to get information from, but it could also be a bad place to get misinformation from. So do your research.
And it's also scary because I get like, I don't know why this is. Every night when I go on TikTok, I get at least 1 or 2 videos that it's like, these are the symptoms for colon cancer. And I don't want to see those videos at like 9 p.m. because it gave me a lot of anxiety. Yeah. But every night, I don't know why. I think it knows that I'm a hypochondriac by nature, so like it's trying to scare me. So,
and now you by saying it right now out loud,
it's
right
gonna
pop up forever now.
I'm gonna have to like. Is there a way to remove words from TikTok that they can't like add videos? That's one thing you should look out for. Just don't like and watch videos for too long of things you don't want to see a lot, because TikTok sees that you liked it, or they see that you were in that video for a while, and they start throwing it at you. And
you like one booty video.
Chill mix. So where can people find you on social media that want to follow what is your TikTok handle?
So my handle is Yanira Loves, but my title, like my name, is PCOS. Oh my gosh, am I forgetting what my name is?
Latina?
Yes, Latina PCOS sister. And then you can also, it's the same handle, Yanira Loves on Instagram.
Okie dokie. Anything else that you want to say for people that are listening in regards to this topic, Yanira, that we haven't said?
I think first of all, I want to thank you guys, because I'm literally talking to 2 grown men about women's issues. So thank you so much for this platform. But to my PCOS sisters out there, keep going. Don't lose hope. And it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And there's a lot of us out there that have gone through it. So we're all in this together, and it's a great community on TikTok. I'm really grateful for my followers. They're really loyal. They're very engaging.
Do you have names for them yet?
No, I need to start
Don't
thinking
people
about
do
that.
They'll be like the sisters.
The sisters. I like that.
Yeah, hello, sisters. Well, isn't that James Charles?
James
thing?
Charles. Oh my gosh.
So people can follow you there. So one of the things that we ask all of our guests is, what do you do to take care of your mental health?
Yoga, first of all. I love yoga. I do it about 3 times a week. I'll tell you my workout routine. So I do yoga 3 times a week, and then I either go to the gym twice a week or I walk. So weightlifting is really good for PCOS people. So is yoga, Pilates. I used to think like high intensity workouts were the best, but when people have PCOS, it's slow and steady, not to get your stress up, because then your insulin goes up and you don't want that. So slow and steady wins the race when it comes to workouts, which is ironic because you'd think opposite, but not in this case. And then, so that's that. And then taking it easy. I don't drink coffee, unfortunately. Every now and then I do, but I know that messes me up mentally. I get anxiety. And taking it slow, appreciating life and the world that we live in. Being more appreciative, I think, helps a lot.
Okie dokie. Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time to educate us, to educate our District 3 podcast audience. And we can do this again.
Yeah.
And but actually we forgot to ask you about Toby.
Oh, my dog.
What is your dog? Is it a golden doodle or labradoodle? Or
He's a golden doodle.
A golden doodle.
Multi-gen. Yeah.
And just real quickly, can you tell us about like Toby's personality traits? What how is he?
He's so annoying.
Oh man.
He's like very hyperactive.
Okay.
Like he loves people. Doesn't like dogs that much. Like he gives them space. But he doesn't really like care too much for them. But when there's like people like at the dog park, he'll go to the people instead of the dogs.
Oh, okay. So I mean, those dogs, they're just very like, I think they're very mature in the sense that they kind of want to be around people that are smart, obviously smarter than dogs, you know, because sometimes they look at dogs and they're like, oh, they're kind of bougie in a way.
Yes. And I feel like they know the conversation you're having with people.
Because the way they look at you when you say something, like even our labradoodle, whenever we say something, they'll be like, you know, they turn their little head around or they judge you. Like our dude puts his little hands like this and he just kind of judges you.
Yeah, like that.
So I wanted to make sure to ask you about that because I know I brought up in the past about doing an episode about our dogs, which we should still do that. We should invite some people that
we should bring the dogs in.
That'd be wild. But we want to do an episode about like dog owners, you know, just talk about like the personality traits of their dogs, and I feel like every owner has like a story of how they got their dog. I know I have my story. But you were trying to say something, Megs?
Oh, first of all, when you said their little hands like that, people don't know what that is.
Oh, yeah, cross.
Can you
explain?
So they cross. First of all, they're not hands; they're paws.
Oh yeah, my bad.
And then, but he means like crisscross on top of each other, looking all adorable and polite.
Long.
Looking
Long
bougie.
hands.
One on top of the other. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
And see, now that I'm taking care of my life holistically, I'm like, my dog's turn now. So we're working on that.
And then, I love dogs. I wish that I had one. Or that I could help.
You can get one.
Oh.
Well, no,
you're too busy.
Yeah, I just travel a lot, and I pretty much already gave one of my dogs up for adoption to my parents just because. Yeah.
Well,
anyway, I'm gonna go cry.
We'd like.
We're ending this podcast. So sad.
No, I'm not. I'm bringing it back. Hopefully, we get to meet Toby one day.
Yes.
And hopefully he'll meet Duke. And I don't know how that interaction will go because Duke is a little bit extroverted. He likes to be in people's personal space, but he doesn't like you to be on his personal space too much.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess he bit a dog like 2 months ago because the dog was so much in his personal space.
Yeah. Well, see, Toby knows how to respect space.
Okay.
Because my brother had a little min pin and she was feisty. She didn't like him near him. And so she taught him how to have boundaries.
Okay.
So
maybe they'll get along.
Yeah, I think they would be fine.
Okie dokie. Well, that'll be the positive note to end this podcast episode with about our 2 doggies. But once again, Yanira, thank you for being here and for educating us. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what the feedback is from this episode. Hopefully hopefully people feel like they're being listened to based on what they're going through. And yeah, that's the end of episode 265 of the District 3 podcast. My name is Irving.
And I'm Migs.
Signing off.